students to the video lecture series. I am Adil Mansoori from Civil Engineering Department of LG Institute of Engineering and Technology. So my dear students, in the previous video we had discussed regarding the air pollution, what are different types of pollutants, right? What are the different sources of pollution, what are effects, and how can we control the air pollution, right? So here in this video we will start with the next topic, that is the noise pollution and environmental impact assessment. Okay. So let us start with the introduction. So sound is a physical phenomena that stimulates the sense of hearing, right? And sound is a manifestation of vibration, which travels in wave pattern through solids, liquids, and gases, right? And solid waves of equal amplitude with increasing frequency from top to bottom. Okay. Next is, you might have seen in your primary schooling that this sound travels in different pattern, that is compression and rarefaction. Okay, so certain waves are combined together and certain waves are different, getting separated from each other, right? So that is known as compression and rarefaction. Okay. Talking about amplitude and wavelength. So amplitude is the maximum distance from the neutral axis, right, of a trough or the crest, right? So that is known as the amplitude, right? Talking about the wavelength, the distance between two consecutive troughs and two consecutive crests is known as the wavelength, and the time taken uh, by the wave to complete one cycle is known as the time period. Okay. Next is talking about the basic terminology. So it is the frequency. So frequency is the number of cycles which is repeated in a unit time duration, right? And the unit is cycles per second or hertz. Talking about the intensity, the amount of sound energy which is received per second or unit time is known as the intensity of sound, and its unit is decibel. So what is decibel? So it is defined as the logarithm to the base 10 to the ratio of two intensities. So LT will be equals to 10 log 10 I by I0, right? Where I is the measured intensity and I0 is the reference intensity. LT is the level of noise in the decibel. Next is sound and noise. So what do you mean by sound? So it's pleasant to hear, right? And it has a constant pitch. It has a regular periodic motion and produces meaningful communication, right? And unit is hertz, and hertz means cycles per second. Talking about noise, it's unpleasant to hear and constantly varying pitch, right? There is no regular periodic motion and produces no meaningful communication, right? And unit is again decibel, and 1 decibel, that is equal to 10 log intensity measured by intensity or reference intensity, right? Decibel equals to 10 into log to the base 10 intensity measured by reference intensity. Okay. So next is sound level meter. So sound level meters measure sound pressure level and are commonly used in noise pollution studies. Okay, so positions in desired location with no obstruction from the source and sound is taken. And basic part includes microphone, amplifiers, weighing networks, and displaying reading in decibel. Right. This device performs three basic operations. First thing, microphone to convert the energy into sound into electrical signal, right? And when a sound wave hits the microphone, it causes a diaphragm. Now, to vibrate, electronic signals which are proportional to the sound pressure causing the vibration. And thirdly, this electronic network provides meaningful results transmitted through a visual display. Okay, so internationally accepted three weighing scales are adopted: A, B, and C. A for human intensity to low intensity sound, right? B for medium intensity sound, and C for human response to high intensity sound. Okay, so that's about. So next is thumb rule for noise measurement. So the noise source being measured should be at least 10 decibels above the background noise, right? And keep the sound level meter as far away from any large reflecting surfaces as you are from the source that you are measuring. And all measurements are to be made with the microphone at least 3 feet above the ground level. Okay, so talking about the noise pollution, unwanted sound that penetrates the environment, any noise irritating to someone's ears which comes from an external source, which is in relative terms one's enjoyment or maybe pollution to another, right? And sounds which pleases the listener is music, and which causes pain and annoyance is noise, right? Then noise affecting us in hearing, ability to communicate, and behavior. So all these things are considered as noise pollution. Okay. So what are the different sources? So first one is the street traffic, rail traffic, road traffic, airplanes, construction, indoor source, that is radio, television, AC, home appliances, and less maintained vehicles produce more sound. Okay. So let us move ahead. So what are the different noise standards? So it is based on the area codes and category of area, and limits in decibel for day and night time is given. So area code is A, and industrial area where daytime limit is 75 and night time is 70. Talking about daytime, it is from 6 in the morning till 9 in the night, and night time starts from 9 p.m. at night till 6 a.m. in the morning, right? Then its area code is B for commercial area. So daytime it should be 65 decibels, and for night time it should be 55, right? Then residential area, daytime will be 55 decibels and nighttime will be 45 decibels. And talking about the silence zone, daytime it should be 50 decibels and nighttime should be 40 decibels. Clear? So here on the screen you can see sound level for human response. Okay, so different sources and effects are also given. So if the highest decibel or highest source of sound is jet plane, that is 140 decibel, which may be traumatic injury which can cause, right, and it is painful, right? If 130 is the decibel, then maximum recorded rock music, right, it causes irreversible damage, right, and it is again painful. Talking about 110 decibels, riveter, right, loss of hearing, and 100 is for press, again loss of hearing, right? Talking about 80 decibels caused by trucks, 70 decibels vacuum cleaners, 60 decibels AC, 50 decibels light traffic, 40 decibels average living room, 30 decibels library soft whisper, right, and 20 decibels studio, 10 decibels rustling of leaves, and 0 is the threshold of hearing, right? That is hardly it is audible. Clear? Talking about effects of noise pollution. So first one is the loss of hearing, right? So due to exposure of noise, which termed as artificial hearing loss. Okay. So noise induced temporarily threshold shifts, that is NITTS, due to exposure to loud noises like bursting of crackers, right, recovered in a short period of time. Noise induced permanent threshold shifts, that is NIPTS, because of the exposure to loud noise for longer period of time. Okay, so this will be two types of losses, right? Then second is annoyance. So it is subjective matter for sound or noise. Someone may like classical music and it may be annoyance to other, right? And annoyance is felt at around 75 to 85 decibels, and blood vessels gets constricted, breathing rate gets also affected. Okay, talking about health effects, it affects physical health, right? Auditory effects, short time and long time effects like acoustic trauma due to high intensity impulsive noise of about 150 decibel or more. Then non-auditory effects like exposure to loud noise, increased pulse rate and blood pressure changes, right? Then effect to mental health, lack of concentration at high level noise and mental disturbance, right? Then interference with communication. So background noise affects the efficiency of offices, schools, and other places where communication is vital importance, right? External sound also interfere with conversation and use of telephone as well as enjoyment of radio and TV. Okay, so these are something which affects the working efficiency. Now, maximum acceptable limit of noise is 55 decibel, and working efficiency decreases the working efficiency drastically, right? Experiments indicate that irregular bursts of noise are more disruptive than steady noise, and sound level of 90 decibel may interfere with the performance of tasks. Talking about other effects, then there will be sleep interference, personal comfort interference, effects on wildlife, and also increased industrial accidents. Okay. So talking about control of noise pollution. So noise pollution can never be eliminated completely, but it can be controlled. Okay. So noise pollution can be controlled by paying attention to one of the three elements. Source, right? So source can be modified by changing in design, treatment of machine surface. Noise source could be stopped or operation limited to certain times. Okay, then second is the path, that is transmission path. Okay, so sound insulating enclosure, construction of noise barrier, absorbing materials along the path, right? So that is all included in the path. And third one, that is receiver. So altering the work schedule by provision of ear protection like earplugs can also be used. Okay. Next, uh, talking about environmental impact assessment. Okay, so environmental impact assessment planning tool helps planner in predicting future impacts of different developments. That is, environmental impact assessment must be conducted for projects like highways, airports, canals, dams, power plants, etc., which disturb the environment, right? And it's applicable for developmental activities which involve plans, programs, and policies. So what do you mean by EIA? So it is defined as the systematic identification and evaluation of potential impacts of proposed projects, plans and actions on physical, chemical, biological, cultural and socio-economic components of the environment. Okay. Next is need of EIA. Why do we need EIA? Right? So when a project is undertaken, it disturbs environmental equilibrium, right? So to maintain the quality of environment, it is essential to study impacts of project on environment, and suggests this also suggests remedial measures for the development of the projects. Okay. So next is ideal EIA system, right? So this applies to all projects that have significant environmental effects, and ideal EIA system compare alternatives of proposed effect management techniques and mitigation measures. It helps in preparation of EIAs, that is environmental impact statement, right? Then include broad public participation and administrative review procedure. Then be timed to provide information for decision making, and be enforceable, and include monitoring and feedback procedures, right? So you can see on the picture, it's a systematic process of identifying future consequences of current or proposed action, right? So what are the things that is necessary? Transparency, certainty, participation of public, practicability, flexibility, cost effectiveness, credibility, and accountability. Okay, fine. So moving further, next is goals of EIA. So first one, resources conservation, waste minimization, recovery of byproduct, efficient use of equipments, sustainable development. Okay. So next is methodology of EIA. So my dear students, this is a flow chart of EIA, right? So first of all, when we start the EIA, first we select the site, right? Then we conduct environmental impact assessment. Then we apply for no objection certificate, right? Which is from the State Pollution Control Board, right? Then they arrange public hearing, and project proponent apply for the environmental clearance and submitting required documents, that is EIA report, NOC form, SPCB, right? NOC from SPCB, so on, right? They are reviewed by environmental appraisal committee, right? If it is accepted, then it is fine, and if it is rejected, then they have to go for the entire procedure again, right? But if there is a change is suggested, then they again have to conduct the EIA. Okay, and if it is rejected, then there is a no scope. Fine. So how is methodology of EIA? So it is the organizing the job, performing the assessment, writing the EIS, that is environmental impact statement, and review of the EIS, right? So talking about the organizing the job, it is interdisciplinary team is constituted to conduct the analysis of impact of environment, right? And consists of group of geologists, agronomists, chemists, ecologists, hydrologists, engineers, etc. They decide whether project is required or not. Okay, then performing the assessment, we have to go for a site visit, identify and do the evaluation, then discussion of the alternatives, right? Preparation of checklist and measurement of the environmental impact due to project. And then writing the EIS. So EIS is a conclusion of EIA, right? It is a written statement to ensure that the policies and goals of NEPA, that is National Environmental Policy Act, included in the ongoing project. Okay, and it concludes the different terms like description of site, description of proposed project, purpose of the action, right? Goals and objectives, environmental impact of proposed project, alternatives of activity, relationship of proposed activity to the existing land use plans, right? Then relationship between local short-term uses and long-term productivity of resources involved, then identifying measures that can be taken in order to minimize the adverse effects, right? And last, incorporating the modification in proposed project. Then is the review of EIS. So after completion of EIA report, public must be informed and consulted on proposed project. Anyone likely to be affected by project is entitled to have access to the executive summary of the EIA, and the affected person may include bona fide local resident or local associations, then environmental group active in the area, then other people located at the site. Then they have given suggestion, they have to give suggestions. 1 month given for public inspection, and after final review, decision is taken, either approve or reject of the proposed project. Okay, so talking about EIA in India, formal legislation for EIA, it has been enacted by making an amendment in the Environmental Protection Act 1986, limited involvement of public and government agencies in the initial phases, no provision in place to cover landscape and visual impacts in the EIA regulation, and earlier scope was done by consultant or proponent with an inclination towards meeting pollution control requirement rather than addressing the full range of potential environment. Most reports in English and not in local language. In some cases, executive summary is translated into local language. Fine. Then talking about limitations, they should be undertaken at a policy and planning level rather than the project level. That is, EIA should be undertaken. Okay. Then possible alternatives is often small. There is no criteria to decide what type of projects undergo EIA, because many projects do not require in-depth EIA, and lack of comprehensive environmental information, base limitation of time, manpower, financial resources, so on, and more research and development of improved methodologies required to overcome limitations related to data. And EIA report too academic, bureaucratic, and lengthy, difficult to understand for common people, and in actual, EIA ends immediately after project clearance, so no follow-up is usually taken. So my dear students, that's the end of noise pollution and EIA. So with this, we conclude the entire syllabus of environmental engineering.